Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the world's most, well, frankly, paradoxical mega projects out there. We're looking at a massive multi-billion-dollar fertilizer factory, specifically the Perdaman Urea Project, and it's literally rising straight out of the dust of Western Australia's Pilbara region. It's this absolutely stunning intersection of extreme geography, staggering financial investment, and honestly, global survival. Okay, so let's just tackle the obvious question right out of the gate. Why on earth build a massive agricultural asset in the middle of a barren desert? I mean, when we think of agriculture, we picture lush green fields and abundant water, right? Definitely not endless stretches of sun-baked sand and rock. The logistics alone of dragging heavy machinery and resources out into the Pilbara are just a total nightmare. So why do it? Why build a facility designed to help things grow in a place where practically nothing can? To solve this mystery, we first need to look at the Desert Mega Project, unpacking the massive scale of Australia's boldest new development. The paradox here is just striking. On one hand, you've got an environment that is historically incredibly hostile to biological life. And on the other, you have the literal lifeblood of modern agriculture. I mean, think about it. Traditional fertilizer production requires massive amounts of water and chemicals. A single plant can easily consume millions of gallons a day. And those are two things a desert famously lacks. It makes putting a urea plant in the outback feel, well, incredibly out of place. But there's a geographical paradox here. We're finding the hidden strategic logic literally buried in the sand. It really boils down to a three-step strategic logic. First up, a chemical plant of this magnitude needs a massive, remote footprint, safely distanced from major population centers. And the Pilbara? It offers millions of acres of precisely that. Second, you need proximity to raw energy. The outback isn't just sand. It's sitting right on top of massive, untapped natural gas reserves. Plus, it has essentially limitless solar potential for future green hydrogen initiatives. And finally, despite how isolated it is, this spot connects via direct rail and pipeline to deepwater ports. That opens up immediate, highly lucrative export routes straight to a very hungry Asia-Pacific market. Of course, a $6.4 billion investment is the immense financial weight required to conquer the harsh Australian outback. Yeah, $6.4 billion. Let that staggering number just sink in for a second. When institutional investors and corporate boards greenlight capital at this scale, they aren't just guessing. Overcoming the logistical nightmare of the outback is wildly expensive, for sure, but they run the models. A bet this huge tells us that something massive and practically guaranteed is happening on the global demand side. And that brings us to global fertilizer demand and the intense market pressures driving these extreme agricultural investments. Because, you see, we're currently facing this overwhelming global demand that completely dwarfs our available supply. Thanks to recent geopolitical shifts that have really severely disrupted traditional fertilizer exports, combined with a rapidly growing global population that's relying on shrinking arable land, well, there's a massive market gap. And filling that gap is so lucrative and honestly so essential for national food security worldwide that a $6.4 billion desert factory suddenly flips from being a crazy idea into an absolute economic necessity. To really grasp the stakes here, we need to understand mega-scale fertilizer production. Basically, it's the industrial creation of essential agricultural nutrients at an enormous volume to sustain global food systems. We're talking about the highly advanced industrial creation of nutrients, things like urea, ammonia, and phosphorus. It's about chemically transforming raw extracted elements into millions of tons of agricultural building blocks. Actually, without facilities operating at this elite level, modern agriculture would quite literally collapse. So, it's all about feeding the future and how a desert mega project aims to secure the global food supply. To summarize how this all comes together, we're overcoming harsh desert geography, deploying a massive $6.4 billion capital investment, and strategically securing the future of global agriculture. Which brings us right back to our core theme, why Australia is building a $6.4 billion fertilizer factory in the desert. It's truly a masterclass in problem-solving on a planetary scale. We're taking the most barren place imaginable, harnessing its underlying power, and using it to generate the exact materials required to keep the rest of the world green and fertile. So, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. If we can build life-sustaining factories in the harshest deserts, where will global agriculture expand next? I mean, if we can conquer the Australian outback to secure our food supply, what other impossible environments might we engineer next to ensure the future of human survival?